How does exercise impact IBS? Like you talked about it going, it doesn't matter if you're gardening or if you're lifting weights, but like what does it actually do for you?
Yeah, great question. So exercise really helps with a number of things. So it helps with the mobility in your gut. So if you have got a slower gut, sluggish gut, things like bloating, constipation, any movement is going to really help with just moving things along basically with that. The other thing we know is that people who exercise regularly have a better microbiota profile. So the gut bugs, which are linked to generally better gut health, so which is a little bit more broader in terms of what we're talking about here, but still there seems to be a better profile. And then the other thing is that it does seem to directly improve symptoms, and there's a couple of studies on this, one looking at running, and then another one that people always quote around yoga, doing this around twice a week can really help with improving symptoms. So it doesn't really matter, I guess it's just about the exercise, because yoga and then running are two very different exercises, and that's what there's a lot of people who will quote, and it really irritates me, saying, oh, you must do yoga if you have IBS. And actually what the research is showing is that any exercise really is good, apart from potentially high intensity exercise, so something like your high rocks class, which is intense. But then even like, as you know, like if me and you lifted the same weights, that's a very different intensity. So it's very difficult for us to say, not that I'd be able to lift the same weights as a man anyway, in my current training regime that is, but if I think one person's going to find that intensity very different to another person, depending on how fit you are, how strong you are, your age. So with that one, I would just say just see how it goes. So for example, if you are someone who's already very fit, maybe doing a couple of spinning classes even per week if you really want to do, or runs, it's going to be no problem. But if you are somebody who doesn't do any exercise regularly, then that probably isn't a good idea to start with something high intense, or jiu-jitsu, definitely not. It would be start with your walking, start with your weights, when weights are particularly good because I wouldn't say they're that intense. It's kind of a slow movement, and you've got the control if you need to leave in case anything gets flared up. But unfortunately, a lot of the research we have in gut function sort of really speeding up and becoming, not great in terms of you might end up running to the bathroom, is more to do with high endurance athletes, which we are not. And they're they've got a very different profile, and they're doing like triathlons, and they're taking lots of supplements with that. There's a lot of race day anxiety, and that's a whole diet and regime in itself to reduce that. But that's what annoys me, I think, when some of these claims get put out there about, oh, don't do this, it'd be bad for your IBS, don't do that. I don't think we're there with the research. I think really it comes down to a more simplified approach, that doing something every day, walking is great, and then probably weights would be fine, running is fine, all these things are okay, as long as you're not doing something really intense every single day, and as long as you're not just jumping from 0 to 100. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. So is there, like, I know you've mentioned the endurance athletes and, maybe not doing high rocks, because it could be too intense. Is there such thing as like a too mobile gut? Like, is that what they are doing when they're doing high rocks or doing the like strength endurance events? Because like it's just too much. Like it actually adds more stress instead of having the opposite effect.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've seen a number of issues with this. I mean, like endurance athletes, we've known this for years because they have their teams of dietitians, right? And it becomes, I think Paula Radcliffe, who's a British runner, famously did actually one of her marathons go to the toilet literally on the side of the road, and then continue going because it impacted her gut so much. But again, even within endurance athletes, some seem to not be impacted at all, and some seem to be have issues a lot. And so it really varies. But we're now seeing in the general public, because of course people who are probably in their 30s and above are starting to take up things like this CrossFit, high rocks, jiu-jitsu. It's all really, really intense exercise. I mean, just to give context, anyone who uses a root band, if I do a jiu-jitsu session, if I go to a spin class, which I haven't been to for years, it would be like a 6, maybe 5 out of 20, and a jiu-jitsu would be like 15. So it's really, really intense. And then people are getting quite hooked on it. So they're doing it not just once or twice a week. It's like 5-6 times a week. And this is where we are seeing problems, because essentially you're getting somebody who's older than a professional athlete. And I hate to break it to you, but at 30, it is older than a professional athlete.
That's
but
rough.
you're training. It is, isn't it? And especially when we get somebody coming in at like 19 and you can't get near them. It's very different physically. But we are seeing people training like an athlete essentially, but they're not treating their bodies like an athlete. And that's where the problem is. So you can train like that, but then we also need to be looking at the 9 hours sleep. We need to be looking at what electrolytes do you need. And also calorie intake is a big one. So a lot of people are over exercising, under fueling. And what happens is the metabolism will drop down. And then I've seen a number of people, both men and women in clinic, who've got really bad constipation, and basically their body fat has become too low. They're physically not eating anywhere near enough calories, and they'll see it in other ways. So they'll see it in things like their ability to sleep, in their sex drive, their ability to recover from exercises. Immune system might go down as well, and often they haven't really caught on because their weight stays the same. So it's almost like their body's in survival mode, and that's where it causes quite a lot of digestive problems.
Yeah, I think I've definitely got caught in that myself. Like, I have a high tendency to move, and sometimes I remember as a personal trainer, I literally couldn't just like keep up with my, like when I was face to face on the gym floor, I would get around 30,000 steps a day, and at this time I was training twice a day. I don't know, I just because you work in a gym, like, you know, a client cancels, oh, hey, I'm just going to go do some arms and abs that I wasn't planning on doing. But I would literally have to eat, like Guzman Gomez, like my lunch break, I'd be like slamming 2 burritos. I'd finish, I'd have like burgers for dinner. Then I'd eat like a whole tub of connoisseur ice cream, which I'm not sure if you have, but I'd get the Cafe Grande and just like smash like a like a liter tub of ice cream. And I'd wake up and I'd like be weighing less. And not that I was ever a professional athlete, I'm definitely not, but just the level of activity trying to get things in is so hard to get those calories in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm only, to put out that, I'm only about 56 kilograms, and I'm female as well, and I train like not every day, but relatively, and I would eat probably like 3,300 calories, around that amount, every day.
Really?
Yeah. Just to deal with the jiu-jitsu and the weightlifting. And I'm breastfeeding as well. And I think the reason I share that is because a lot of my clients are quite shocked. A lot of the females especially, they're having more like 1,800 or 1,500 to lose body fat, and it is just not enough.
How do you get in 3,300 calories?
It's a lot of time. It's good. No, it's good. It's a good problem to have. But it's a lot of eating. Like even snacks become like meals. You know, regularly, and you're having to think about like, let's add some olive oil to that, let's add avocado, so, you know, and then it's not a case of guilting if you want a piece of chocolate cake. That's actually good, becomes good for you in this context. But under fueling is a big issue.